All right, I've got about 4 pounds of chuck roast. This is a great beefy cut that tastes very beefy, and it's cheap, has a lot of nice connective fat in there. I'm going to pat it dry with a paper towel. I've cut these into, as you can see, they're about like 3 to 4 inch chunks. They don't have to be perfect. I'm going to salt and pepper them. I will season the other side once I put them in the skillet. Speaking of, I've got a Dutch oven with about a tablespoon of neutral oil in it, and it's already starting to smoke. I've got it on medium-high heat. So I'm going to start browning these off. So this is a mistake, but I'm using it as a teaching moment. So this stupid stove, the burners can be very unpredictable. This burner got way too hot, and my fond at the bottom of the pot started ever so slightly to burn. So I removed the meat before it had finished browning, because it would burn otherwise. And since there's a little bit of burnt fond at the bottom of this pot, sadly, instead of keeping the fond and using it to develop the sauce, I am deglazing this pot, and I'm going to chuck this because it tastes acrid. I do not want this in my braise. Better to just get rid of it, cut my losses, and move on, than have it in the dish. It'll still taste great. There's still a lot of flavor on the beef itself, and we're going to add a lot of flavorful aromatics, so it's sad, but it's for the best. And see, I've turned the burner down, way, way down, and yet it is still super hot and like radiating heat at me, and I've turned it way down. I have to turn it all the way off at this point and just let it chill out. That is finicky, temperamental electric coil stoves for you. I hate them so much. I am going to save up and buy myself a better stove eventually. All right, in my clean Dutch oven, I'm gonna add some fresh oil and 1.5 chopped onions. Salt the onions. Right, it's been a few minutes on medium-low. These onions are sweated, not completely sweated out. Now it's time to add the minced garlic. You know, there is enough moisture in this pot to prevent the garlic from burning. I could have added it earlier, but I'm just so paranoid after burning my fond earlier. I'm just erring on the side of caution. I'm gonna let this go for a few more minutes until the onions really soften. Ideally, these will melt into the sauce. Okay, the onions are nice and soft and translucent, so I'm gonna start building the sauce. First, I'm gonna add a little MSG, amp up the savory notes. I'm going to add the equivalent of 1 bay leaf. All my bay leaves always get crushed up. Some fresh chopped rosemary from the garden. That was about, I don't know, a couple teaspoons. Oh, that smells so good. Garlic and rosemary and onion. Ah. All right, and now here's where things get really interesting. This is blackberry puree reduction. What I did was I picked some blackberries off the side of the road so they were free, and I cooked them down, straining out the seeds and the pulp. Well, I kept the pulp, some of it, but I strained out the seeds. That's the most important part. And then I reduced it down quite a bit so it would take up less space in the freezer. So I'm going to reconstitute that. Ordinarily I'd reconstitute it with a cup of water, but I'm using homemade chicken broth here. Extra flavor. And this will make up for some of the flavor we lost when I had to throw away the fond earlier. I'm never going to live that down. I'm so sad. But anyway, this traditional recipe calls for red wine. And I figured this blackberry puree, I mean, it even looks like red wine. And flavor-wise, it does have a similar flavor to red wine too. It's a little more sour, so I'm going to add a little sugar. I honestly don't know how much sugar I need, so I'm just going to add everything that's left in this bowl. Clean it out with a little chicken stock. So see, it looks like red wine. I think this is going to work really nicely. Add a little more black pepper. think this dish can probably not have too much black pepper. I'm just going to bring this to a simmer before I add the beef back in. I also have some carrots. These are 3 large carrots cut into, large sticks like this. I don't want them to disintegrate into the braising liquid. I want them to remain mostly intact and just be nice, soft carrots that impart their flavor, but that we can still eat. Okay, I can hear this is on the verge of simmering, So for a braise, a proper braise, you want the meat to be sticking out a little bit on top of the liquid. And when I was browning this off earlier, you may have noticed not all of the beef fit in the pot at once, so that's why I'm kind of stacking it on its sides here, so that it will all fit at the bottom of the pot, and so that some of it will stick out at the top so that we can have a proper braise. Such a pretty purplish red color. Dump the rest of the beef juices in there. And now I'm going to nestle in carrots. I might not need to add any more liquid to this. The recipe called for 1 cup of red wine and 2 cups of chicken stock or beef stock. I have added so far just 1 cup of chicken stock and 1 cup of my reduced wine, blackberry wine. And it looks like I might not need to add much more liquid to this, if any, but we'll see. I want the carrots nestled in there more than the beef. Okay, I'm going to add just a tiny bit more liquid, but we're about ready. Putting it in a 350-degree oven with the lid ever so slightly ajar for a couple hours. All right, this is about 2 hours and 15 minutes in the oven later. Oh, it's beautiful. It smells amazing. I'm just checking for liquid levels, and I'm going to flip the meats over to give everything a chance to be more submerged and to give other parts of the meat a chance to get browned a little bit. It's not done yet. It looks done, but the meat is not quite tender. It will require another hour or so in the oven. Carrots are looking nice and soft. The liquid is looking amazing. Okay. Back in for another hour. All right, so this is about 3.5 hours total in the oven. Got some nice browning on the top. I'm just going to check the meat for doneness. It should be fork tender. It is almost there, but I think it could use a little more. Okay, the moment of truth. Honestly, the meat could have used a little bit longer, but I was just very hungry and very impatient. It's still pretty tender. Oh, that is so good. I want to say I do detect a slight fruitiness and sweetness, but honestly, this blackberry juice really does impart similar flavor properties to red wine. Oh, this is a treat.